Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. It's time to review episode 2 of Shogun 2024. So, I'll be upfront about this. The first episode, I admit, I had to stop myself from constantly judging it against the original, as you may have heard some of my thoughts, to the original adaptation. So, this episode, however, was great. Like this sold it to me so far that this series could be as good as the original adaptation, right? So, the Blackthorn character came into his own. I don't know the actor's name yet, so I'm gonna just look it up, honestly, and just so we'll work through this together, and I'll learn these guys' names. Shogun. Gotta search for Shogun 2024. Here we go. So we have Cosmo Jarvis as John Blackthorn, right? Now, it's funny, I'm more familiar with the Japanese actors and actresses than I am with any of the American ones, other than the European characters, right? So let's just bear with this. As I said in the first episode, there's a tremendous amount of charisma that the original cast had at every level. Okay, and now, so you can't help, if you love the original, your mind is going to constantly compare them. Okay, just like I mentioned, also the music, your mind's going to. But now I've gotten to the second episode, so I'm kind of. They're, maybe because, the Hayuki Sanada is through 2 episodes, he's great as Toranaga, And for example, he is comparable to Mifune in terms of this performance, right? Obviously, Mifune is one of the all-time great actors, so, and Jarvis, okay, let's just say it bluntly, okay? Well, I'm at the stage, because the story, this is the big thing, because the story has not changed, but they're telling it from a different angle. Whereas in the novel and the original adaptation, we spent more time learning Blackthorn's perspective early on than we did Toranaga's, for example, who are your two sort of kind of like the Naruto and Sasuke of the series, if you want to think of it that way. Which does not mean that Mariko is the Sakura of the series. She's kind of the, I guess, the means of communication between the two that allow their, I guess, mutually exploitative relationship to be profitable for both of them. And make no mistake about it, okay? Blackthorn, he is the inferior partner in the sense that Toranaga uses him to accomplish his goals. Though Toranaga comes to respect him, and obviously he saves Toranaga's life in a later scene, and whatnot. But Blackthorn understands he's being used and accepts that and admires Toranaga. So that as far as the novel relationship goes, right? So what they're doing here with this TV series, wisely and in an intelligent way, is kind of telling you the same story, but from some different character perspectives. Like, meaning they spent less time with Blackthorn being in prison when this was his time in prison. Than in the original novel, the original adaptation, it was a much longer time. He learned Japanese there. The basics of Japanese there, for example. Right. Whereas here, he spent only what appears to be maybe a day or so in prison. Okay. Now, I don't remember the exact amount of time in the novel that it spent in prison, and I know he did learn Japanese there. So I'm guessing they're going to have him learn Japanese from Mariko first, as opposed to second. And I'm okay with those little sort of changes. Because it does bring a fresh perspective on the material to see a little more of the Japanese politics early, even though I know it's the same story. So I don't meandering a bit. The gist I'm telling you is they're making it fresh in my mind by telling it in a slightly different way. Now, as far as the actors go, like I said, this episode, Blackthorn, his take on Blackthorn, Cosmo Jarvis' take on Blackthorn, same character, yes, but Richard Chamberlain portrayed him as a sort of noble man in the wilderness, not in the sense among the savages, no, but a guy who carries himself well he's not a noble by birth. He is a noble. He is a respected, I guess you would say, patronized upper class person due to his status as a pilot, which makes him valuable. And the Japanese value him for that, right? So when he gets to Japan, he appears as if he is a noble in Richard Chamberlain's interpretation. So once gets past the brutish barbarianism, adopts some basic Japanese customs, and earns and of course what you say is Toranaga's life, which means something to the way the Japanese carry their honor at the time. It helps him translate. Now this Blackthorn may not be. I don't think he's being portrayed the way that Chamberlain did. I think this one's being portrayed more as a guy who's willing to be a little more humble to survive, to accomplish his goals. What I'm fine with, you know. The one character that I wasn't high on Rodriguez last episode. Who was obviously the great John Rhys Davies played him. Now I liked the way I like the way Carbonell is portraying him. This episode, gained on me. So now again the different take. Once you cue enough acting experiences with the different take, then you can see if you accept the way the actor's portraying that. And I can, and that means to me this is going to be at least for 2 episodes a separate adaptation that could stand on its own and be. I don't know. You could never. I mean, the first one was so great, it can't really be an equal. But on its own, it can still be great on its own. Just obviously, it will be the same. Not Fumio, Anna Sawai as Lady Mariko. Now, the Lady Mariko in the original is very, she was very influential. The character and the actress was very influential on me. Let me put it. Your name is Yoko Shimada. She's been in other stuff I've seen because I've seen a lot of Japanese, TV shows and movies over the years. She was very influential on me in my perception of, obviously I had when I was younger I had that crush on Asian women, of course, like a lot of guys exposed to Western Asian culture did. But the point I'm saying is the way Lady Mariko carried herself, torn between 2 worlds, torn with the situation with her husband, her family dishonor. You'll learn about all that if you watch it. Though they never brought that out as much in the original adaptation, so that might be something to bring up here because there's a sort of background issue. Anyway, I judge most female characters in Japanese productions by how Yoko Shimada played Lady Mariko. Okay, and then maybe my favorite roguish character, Lord Yabu, the Daimyo of Izu, the one you see who's playing 2 sides, which I'll talk about in there. This guy, the original, this guy who's playing him, Tanabu Sanano, might actually be better than the original guy. That's saying a lot because Yabu is a pivotal character, in a lot of things. He plays both sides because he doesn't want to commit 100%, because he knows in the battle between Toranaga and Ishida, whoever wins, he wants to live. He wants to have, he necessarily needs to become more powerful. He doesn't want to be crushed, So it's kind of fascinating. I mean, the way the actors go. Okay, I've rambled enough about what's drawn me into the adaptation. Let's walk through it and comment on some stuff. So this character, I don't recall there being a flashback to the Taiko, the warlord that all the current warlords worked for, who pacified Japan after several centuries of unrest. I don't recall the flashbacks being in the original adaptation. They were in the novel, and he was very close with Tornaga, as I remember, so that's portrayed well here. And I like how Tornaga is shown. Everything what they do with Tornaga, they show him to be cunning and sharp and sharper than his enemies, which they did in the original, but in a slightly different way, which I'm okay with. I don't like the eating scene only so much because it makes it the way this scene kind of is almost point for point, in the original, if I recall correctly, and I don't know, it makes it seem. I don't dislike the scene for its execution. I think I think they're being too casual about the ramifications of Blackthorn. That's one thing. I mean, they do now. The next step to this, what happens at the end, where they send the shinobi after him. That to me would have been the immediate response. Okay, not to depend on the Japanese system, just to get him, because he is the damning information that Blackthorn could give out to any of the Japanese. He could have given it to Ishida. He could have given it to her. The only one who wouldn't take it would be the Christian daimyos. There's one thing with Tornaga and Ishida agreement on is that the Christian daimyos that they're going to be they want either have Tornaga and Ishida confirmed to Christianity and be subservient to the Europeans, or be wiped out. Even though they hate the other two hate each other. So anyway, I think that's so. There's a flaw here. Still great. It doesn't detract in a major way, but I think I think they should have shown them maybe accelerating events that led to what happened at the end a little sooner. Yeah. So. You know. Now this is kind of pivotal, right? So what happens is this priest, it's, just by slightly mistranslating, this priest could wreck Blackthorn and get him executed very easily. The thing is, Tornaga doesn't see. Tornaga inherently distrusts the priest. Okay, even though so he's on the lookout. That's why he has Mariko there, and he knows Mariko will be faithful to him as a Japanese. He's not having no problem with that. Even though he knows she has conflicting loyalties, he knows she has divided responsibilities, and it's a fascinating sort of power play scene. Because the priest knows that the reason Mariko is there is to make sure they translate correctly. Bit of pressure. Now the interesting change so far, though, is the original priest in the first adaptation was somewhat sympathetic to Blackthorn's position. This is what he's struggling with. I mean, I'm not trying to justify what the Portuguese and the Spanish or the British are saying. I mean, not the colonization is a complex thing. I mean, the reality is where Islam and Christianity spread over the centuries, the religions and cultural elements that replaced were inferior. The majority of them involved human sacrifice or deliberate subservience, meaning all people will not be equal. They're being a slave class and whatnot. They just it's so but so there are positive benefits to it, but then of course you have the governments doing that with their negative activities. So it's kind of a complicated thing. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I don't know if this priest is going to portray the same degree of sympathy for Blackthorn. He would prefer that Blackthorn just be imprisoned or convert. And this is the information that Tornaga and Ishida both want. That there's something to exploit in the Amerians coming in. And this is Mariko with her stepson, if I remember, or is it her son? I don't remember. I don't remember her having it. Maybe it is. Okay, So Mariko is in a troubled marriage. That's all I'm gonna say. Her husband is a total douche. Okay, and he doesn't understand that his wife is also samurai, because samurai is a caste, it's meaning it's like a class of people you were born into, and she has duties she has to respond to. He's of the group that thinks that women should be only in the home. The problem with that is his wife is valuable, and his wife being Hosai in Toranaga's presence should advance him. But he doesn't accept that. This is the and again I wish they would have spent more time in prison, only because the actor who's playing the priest, what was his name, God, Joaquin de Almeida. He is great in a lot of stuff, and uh, again, but they did great with the casting on this. Do we know who played him in the? Not that important. And I like how they convey this. So he wakes up and he gains a perspective on Toranaga's position when he sees certain things go, because he knows what he's trying to do to Toranaga, and he gains Toranaga's perspective as he goes through his routine. And I like that portrayal, because that was something in the novel that didn't quite make it into the previous adaptation. So it's pulling a different detail to give you a little more depth, and I like that. It looks like they're going to play up the Christian influence, the daimyos and the church, a little more in this adaptation than in the last one. And like I said, it's still telling the same story, but giving you from a different angle. You know. Now, Yabu is a scoundrel, and he's a guy you want to have on your see, like he's playing to both sides here. And Shino and Toranaga know that. So those are basically bandits. Okay, those are not shinobi. Why? Because if those were shinobi, the group of mercenaries, shinobi, historically were basically kind of like mercenaries, kind of like shinobi clans and groups would work for particular feudal lords sometimes, or sometimes would be in a region for hire, right? And but if they did that to an organized group of shinobi, they would retaliate against Jabu. There would be no question. They'd have an observer watching that, because there was 20 of their guys who would have went undercover as bandits don't come back from the mission, and yet the mission succeeds. Yeah, you know. So these are just a bunch of bandits that Yabu hired, which makes sense. And this is a great scene. It was great in the original, and it is great here. This is also Toranaga saying he knows Yabu is playing both sides. I mean, he does. There's some great dialogue in the book between Hiramatsu and Toranaga about Yabu and his double dealing and all that. Uh, and this is the whole back and forth. And then the funny thing is, in the original, it was played up for Hugh. They constantly told him until he started bathing that he stinks. Okay, I'm surprised it hasn't started up yet. If they're gonna go with that or not, they may not be. They may be lowering the tone of humor in this one. The Blackthorn not bathing every day was used as a little bit of a humor element as he learned Japanese culture. I'm okay, because I was expecting that someone in America would say to him, "Well, you stink," you know. And of course, we get the shinobi scene. Yes, that's shinobi. Yes, women could be shinobi. She's an infiltrator. They're infiltrators. They're trained as spies. Great combat, and that's our end. So all in all, a pretty good episode. Well, I mean, it's a great episode. It's through 2 episodes. This is spot on. Very enjoyable. I can't wait till it's all done. And I can wait a month and watch the whole thing, stream it through as one big sequence. This episode is a 9.6 out of 10 type of good. Sorry if I'm yawning. I didn't get a good night's sleep. I don't know what it is. I think I'm still messed up from those paint fumes that they almost murdered me with on Friday. But anyway, so if I ramble a little bit during this video, bear with me. I'll be better by next one. My name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73. Watch Shogun the original. Watch Shogun in 2024. Read the book. Comment down below if you can. Share this out if you can. Like if you like. Dislike if you dislike. Thank you. Have a great weekend.